right, we're back here at the Playbook Clinic in Orlando. We're with Bill Kramer. He was the head coach at Naples for many years, right? He's a legend. And aren't you a newly minted member of the FACA Hall of Fame? Correct? Weren't you just pulled in the other day?
No, it's been a few years. I think it's like,
Oh, is it okay? I
yeah,
saw you up in a picture at one of those. So maybe you were just there with the new class this year.
yeah, we're helping the induction.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. So, Coach, you have been a part of football in this area for a long time. So just a little bit, will you give us a little bit of your background and kind of what you've done here?
Yeah, I started out in 1987, graduated college, and next thing, like 3 days later, I was coaching spring football at Hialeah Miami Lakes in Miami. So that was something.
Amazing.
I didn't know nothing about anything. It was funny. And my wife's 7 generations Floridian. She's from Miami. And I hope I don't offend anybody when I say I got the last good girl out of Miami. But anyway.
I think that's okay to claim, Coach.
Yeah, okay. So I was the youngest guy on the staff. Many of the guys had played for Charlie Yonda, who was a legend in Dade County. And after 8 years, I became the head coach there. And before that, I was head track and field coach, which was good experience. I was a head coach there for 3 years, and then was asked to come to Naples, and I coached at Naples. And we were able to win the first playoff game in like 20 years. I don't know. We beat Miami Northwestern. They're favored by like 28. I got a good story about that. I got a good story about that in a minute if you want it.
Absolutely.
And then didn't apply, got asked to interview, and I took the interview, and it was a terrible job at Naples. But my wife and I prayed on it, and just felt compelled. And I was at Naples for 22 years. We won the first state championship in 2001, and that was the first one that anybody in Southwest Florida had ever won. And then we played for another one in 2003, and then won another one in 2007. And we managed to win in 22 years. We won 216 games. And when
Wow.
we got, yeah, that's pretty good. And when we got there, they had like one winning season in 17 years, or like 6-4 or something. And they hadn't been to the playoffs in 20 years, and no infrastructure. And so really cool to see how God blessed all that. Like it was obvious. We won a whole bunch of games where afterwards in the handshake line, the other coach is going, you ain't better than us. Y'all shouldn't have won that. And I'd say, hey, I'm with you, bro. That's amazing. I'm 100% Coach, with you.
That's the epitome of leaving it better than you found it. Obviously, it may have been a job that nobody wanted before, but anyone probably in this state would take that job now. So, looking back on your career, what has football meant for you? You've been so much a part of it. What has it meant to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love football. It's the greatest team sport ever invented in the history of mankind.
Amen.
Now, I've read about that thing where it's similar to football, that like the Incas or somebody played and the losers got decapitated or something. So I don't know about that enough about that one. Let's just leave it at that. But, football for me, I never met my dad, and I grew up in a rough area, in a rough time, and it gave me a way out. My mom never graduated high school, and she grew up as a migrant farm worker. And so to be able to I love the impact. I love running full speed and hit somebody in the face with my face. And I didn't go to jail for it. That was awesome. And then got me to college, and I was able to play. I played at Liberty University, which then combined faith with football, which I needed because I was a rascal. And so when I began coaching, I was intent that football would be a tool, that I was not going to get used by football like a bunch of my friends and teammates feel like instead of using football, they let it use them and the culture. And all their whole identity was that, and they left with no tools in their toolbox, for real life. And so in coaching, I was determined that we were going to make great husbands and great fathers. Great fathers, great husbands, community leaders in their homes. And the truth is, if you got a locker room full of guys that can big picture that, man, the maturity level goes through the roof. And it doesn't. Yeah. And even if it's not, you never get the whole locker room. But if you can get 60, 70% of them, it's a whole different enchilada now, man. Like everything they do is with intent, and they're not nearly as goofy as 16-year-olds want to be.
Absolutely, Coach. One thing we always ask the coaches who have been around for a while, very similar to last question, but if you could go back now and talk to yourself as a first or second year coach, what's the one thing you tell yourself?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're coming with hard-hitting questions today.
That's
Coach.
a rough one there. I don't know. There's really not much. I'm not a big do-over guy anyway. But
well, what's one thing you would tell a young coach now if it were somewhere else?
Yeah. That's a great question. That's better for me to answer.
Yeah.
Because I was the guy. Now I'm an all-in guy. Like I'm passionate. We're gonna. I was the guy. We don't have a practice field at American High. And I was the guy that would. There's Dade Christian School was down the road, and I'd ask them if I could borrow their mower and their line striping machine, and then I would mow their field, mow our field, stripe their field, stripe our field, just so our kids could have a striped field. So
that's all in for darn sure.
All in.
If you've ever striped a field, that's all in.
Yeah. That's all in, man. And especially when you're riding like they didn't have a big deck. I mean, it was some little old, 30-inch deck or whatever that I'm cutting fields with, but it's crazy. So I would tell young coaches that. The same as I tell my players is if we're all in, we're really hard to beat. And all in it means we're going to have a great plan, and everybody's going to be held to the same high standard with no guarantee of success. It's like, you got to know there's no guarantees here, man.
Yeah.
They're going to have better dudes. I'm telling my players all the time, I don't need the best players. I need the best team. And so if we can be that, then I got a chance every Friday. And the truth is, I'm so arrogant. I never coached a game that I thought we weren't going to win. Like, there's never. Like, just do what I say, we're going to win. Like, this ain't rocket science, man. Just do what I say. Believe. Be all in.
But, the so funny thing is there, you just said, I'm so arrogant. But if you're willing to admit it, are you really that arrogant?
Yeah,
I think that's being transparent. And it's not really being arrogant. It's being confident, right, Coach?
Okay,
you got to have that air of confidence when you're a coach, and there's no doubt about that. You can't go out there feeling like you're going to lose. Same thing as a player.
But so many dudes, and especially today, the more when the internet hit and all the recruiting services, and I was around before that. Like I did the first clinics or combines. They were at St. Thomas University where the Miami Dolphins used to train. Now they're at Nova Southeastern. But it was Reebok back in the day. Do they even have Reeboks? Is that still a thing? I don't even know.
But my days more like CrossFit.
Yeah, but so we did. Yeah, so it was Reebok clinics, and we did them in Miami. And we kind of started them there. But we start getting stars attached to names. And then we start social media, all the self-promotion, all this stuff. And it was weird for me when that started mattering to guys and coaches I'm talking about. Like coaches would be like, well, coach, they got 6 5-stars on offense. I'm like, I don't know who. So what should we ask him not to dress him out? I mean, I don't know why that's relevant.
They're still a high schooler, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's what I always used to say. He's still just another high school kid.
And really, are we relevant or not? I ask my coach all the time. We're either relevant or irrelevant. And if the game is predetermined by whoever they suited up, we're irrelevant.
Yeah.
Right? If you're just going to win the game you're supposed to, you don't, or if they're just going to, my job as a coach is to take guys places they can't go on their own. They don't need me if they can do it on their own. And so the whole trick for me, and the thing that I got stoked about was beating the team that I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
That's what drove me. Yeah. It wasn't. I swear, we've had running clocks before. We used to score a bunch of points, and we didn't get better. Like we're up 35-0 in the first quarter or whatever, and I'm like, we're not getting any better right here. You can see it. We're better athletically than them, but if we're not improving, then Coach Kramer's not happy.
Yeah, and I used to talk about that all the time. I tell people when they, non-football people, I'm like, you never remember the games that you get blown out or you blow someone out. I mean, yeah, you remember it, but you don't really remember it. I said, I always remember the games that we lost by 1 or we won on some crazy play or something like that. I said, those are the games I remember and treasure. I never hey, remember that time we beat that team by 50? No one gives a crap about that. I mean, you were supposed to win. You did. Move on.
All right, Kyle,
so I agree with you there.
I am going to beg to differ with you. We had one game, 2001, We're playing a local team. This is our 4th year. We won a state for our first state championship. And they weren't bad. They're pretty good. And we scored 63 points in the first quarter.
Okay, but that's a little different, Coach. You should remember that.
It set the all-time national record for all levels of football, right? And winds up being 85-0. And so, man, I got death threats. Like they're like police having to circle my home. There's a panel van my wife sees, and it's before she didn't have a cell phone. I don't know if they had them then, but no camera in her phone. But she's like, it's had a big old poster of me being hung from the goalpost as Bill Kramer should die. Yeah. So I remember that one. And plus, and look, and they haul me in. I got to go over play by play with some superintendent. He went to UVA, and he didn't play ball. So if you go to UVA and you don't play football, the odds of you knowing anything about football are
zero.
Very slim. Yeah, not a UVA, bro. And that's the Paisley Tie guys or whatever. Like whatever, dude. So I'm trying to tell him, and the fact is we didn't even play our guys. Like I got 10th graders, I got our puppies in, and I'm not trying to run this thing up, but we're playing hard. And that's one other thing. If your culture is right, those guys, when they get a chance, they're going to take advantage of their chance. They want to play every week. So that was one. Then the other one wasn't in what year was it? 2008. We beat somebody 91-0. Now, look, but I'd already been. Coach. Look, we could have scored 150 if we wanted to, but and I'd already been through the 85-0 thing, right? And
you're like, screw it, let's go.
No, it wasn't like that. So it's senior night. And I don't even let like our 4 or 5, maybe 6 kids actually from defense and 4 or 5 kids from offense. Their senior night, they don't get to play. I don't even dress them out because I know how bad it's going to be. So so our fans are furious at me. Our parents are like, "You can't. What do you do wrong?" He didn't do anything wrong. I just don't want to have to go to the school board again.
Yeah.
And then that coach, though, to his credit, the head coach. So here's what happens. Randy Shannon was a head coach at Miami, and he's doing his interview the next day after his game or whatever. It's his Saturday morning. And it was a pregame thing. And they were talking to him about they hadn't been scoring many points. He goes, I should go hire Bill Kramer. Randy and I have been friends for a long time. Okay. And the AP guy is AP reporter. And he goes, who's Bill Kramer? He goes, he's the head coach at Naples High. He scored 91 last night. So so I'm in the office working, and I get a call from my wife. And my wife don't call me unless like they're already at the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Like she's not bothering me when I'm at the office. She's awesome. I got the best wife on the planet. And cooked every pregame meal. Kids ate at our house once a week. Our players did. Like she's awesome. So she says, honey, I'm going to give you a number. An AP reporter just called, and he's got a story written. He's going to give you a chance to comment, but he's going to roll with the story about last night's 91-0. And I'm like, ugh.
Oh, no.
So long story short, the guy was cool with it. But the other coach, Rich Dombrowski, who still coaches down there, I think he's at Bonita High now, he told the reporter when he called him, he said, you know what? They did everything they could to hold it down. And the fact is, we didn't even know 91 was a multiple of 7. So that took a lot of heat off me.
As a math teacher, I love that.
Yeah, I like that guy. And so he was cool about it. But the problem is AP puts it out, and then it's that for maybe 2 or 3 days. It's on your banner on Google, Yahoo, Sports Illustrated, all of them. Like it, boom, boom. And so I'm doing interviews all over the country, man. Like I'm getting called from California to the Midwest, all these states. Rock stations loved me, country stations loved me, NPRs wanted me dead. You know how that goes. And NPR's not much for American resiliency and meritocracy.
Oh, I love it, Coach. So, I mean, obviously, if you have games like that, you're going to remember it. But for the most part, I don't remember too many of those blowouts.
No. Lots of running clocks. I don't remember the running clocks.
I think you proved your blowout theory wrong.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's my bad, Kyle. And I'm not trying to be that guy, topper guy either.
Listen, we talk about this. We invented this podcast to help out other coaches. So our opinions are not laid in, cement. They're nothing like that. And we tell it all the time. We're going to have way better coaches than us on here, because if it were just me and Matt talking, I wouldn't want to listen either. Right. We were pretty good coaches, but we're going to go find out the best coaches for coaches to listen to and get educated from. So by no means is anything I say is gospel at any point. It's not. So
to go back and answer your question, young coaches, I would tell them this: know your why.
Yeah.
Know your why, man. Not just your what, but know your why. And then live it. And I'd also say you got to find a mentor. I was fortunate. Walt Frazier was the head coach at Carroll City High School. I don't know what Walt saw in me, but very early in my career, Walt invested in me.
Yeah.
And Ken Sparks was the head coach at Carson Newman, was my mentor all of my adult life. And Norm Evans, since from 2001, he's still in Seattle. He's not in good health. Norm Evans was the captain on the Dolphins undefeated team.
Wow.
And he too came alongside me, and they were accountability partners, great coaches who knew tons of ball, but they'd ask me hard questions, and not just questions about what's going on the field, but really questions about accountability, consistency. Because what happens with coaches in general is that we set standards, and then we become a liar.
Yep.
So here's a standard, but until that guy who we have to have Friday doesn't meet it, well, now
Standards change.
standard
right?
change
That's
for
never
that
good.
guy. No. And so for young coaches, I'd say get a mentor. And the other thing, like these kind of clinics, things like this, I see so much. I'm working for FCA now, so I'm all over. I see a bunch of schools, a bunch of practices. We do a camp at IBM Maria. We had 9 teams from all over South, Orlando down. And there's a whole bunch of young guys that know their scheme, man. I call them YouTube coaches. Like they got the scheme down, bro. But Clyde Christensen, who's been a dear friend for 30 years, Clyde, but he was with Coach Dungy at Tampa and Indianapolis. Then he coordinated for the Dolphins, and most recently he was Tom Brady's coach at Tampa.
Yep.
And he would say, "Let your drill work be your resume. You got to show NFL guys how they can get better and make more money." And so I don't care about the written resume. I want to see your drill work. And so when I look at young coaches with their drill work, like it's really bad sometimes. It's whatever they saw on YouTube.
Yeah.
And you know what, when you see how it's drawn up or whatever and all the Boolean logic involved, they know that stuff. But how do you make this kid who's too small, too slow, too whatever, fit into whatever that is you're selling? Correct. And also, how can you take advantage of whatever you need to take advantage that the other team's doing? And I don't see a lot of that.
No, that's football. That's what we said. Half of being a coach is what you know on the whiteboard, and then the other half is developing relationships, understanding matchups, doing your homework, all that good stuff. We love it. We actually call ourselves whiteboard warriors now because we're not coaching. So we're now we can make another shirt that says YouTube coaches. Matt, I'm excited about that.
There you go, YouTube coaches.
Yeah, we're YouTube coaches. I like it.
Yes,
right.
I love it, and we wear it as like a badge of honor because we don't care, because that's who we are now, and we're okay with that. But it's such a good point of like you better be all in when you're a coach. It's not just being a trendy play caller and walking around like Mike McDaniel with the sweatpants up and doing all that stuff. And again, I'm not knocking on Mike McDaniel. I love.
No,
it.
I feel you, bro. You're exactly right.
It,
yeah,
but I think too many people want to be like him without all the work that he's done. Right? He's
That's
grown
exactly
up in it
right.
and all that stuff. So. Well, you just covered my next question. It was going to be what's the best piece of advice you ever received from a mentor? But you just talked about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we need a moral compass. We need a North Star. Somebody who, man, that's the other side of the thing is part of knowing your why. I just think it's really important to be out. If you want to be successful, and it don't matter if you're a dirtbag. Like I got a friend, I'm not gonna say his name, very successful in the state, and he recruits his tail off. And I remember telling him, he was part of a professional organization with me. And I'm like, hey, man, you got to stop doing that. You're cheating. And he's gotten busted before. And he's in a very strong political position where he is in his county. And here's what he told me. He said, tell you what, you tell me how I can beat Aquinas without recruiting, and I'll do whatever you say. And I said, you know what? You're right.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point.
That's right.
Also may have inadvertently give away who that was right there with that comment. I kind of feel like I know who it is, but we'll keep that there. So, Coach, we ask this question for people all the time. You've done it quite a while. We always say, what's the most unique thing your program does that maybe not a lot of other people do? Can you think through your years what's kind of one of the more unique things that at the programs you've coached at?
Yeah, I think it's really unique that for us, I tell guys, look, this is ministry, man. This is if God hasn't called you to this and to do it And I never made any bones about it. Like, we're on mission. So that means your family, your wife has to be all in. I've been in a lot of social, whether it's a all-star thing or an awards banquet or whatever, where you got coaches and their wives are there, and we get to sit at an 8 top or 10 top together. I can tell you in 15 minutes if I can beat that guy consistently or not, just by hearing the conversations he's having with my wife. That's fat. If she ain't all in, hey, we're gonna beat your brains out if she's not all in. Because we lived in community, our staff. Yeah. So we're raising kids together. We would be in camp, and of course, I got 19 assistant coaches. There's a lot of bodies, tons of little kids. And so all the wives are at my house with sleeping bags all over the floors with their little kids doing their lock-in, their camp out. And one year they came to the school and their pregame meals, it's the wives and some moms all in and we eat at the coach's house once a week so they can see an intact family, what that looks like. Under stress, what is a family that's following God's design for marriage, following God's design for the family? What does that look like? And man, those are hard to find, those dudes. I would get all these resumes, especially once we got pretty good. They knew Naples has a lot of money or whatever, and former pro players, college coaches, whatever. And as soon as I start talking like I'm talking to you right now, man, their eyes glaze over. They're like, that ain't. I want to tell you how I coach a 3 technique. Nah, that ain't it. Like, that's important. We're going to do that too, but we're going to do all of it. So I would tell them all the time, this is not a job. This is a lifestyle, period.
100%.
It's year round. We're never going to look at the clock. There's no job too small. There's no challenge too big. And we're going to attack this together. And I was fortunate, man. I was blessed to have so many really, really good coaches that made me look good, and great players too, for that matter.
Yeah, no, I love that. I always said I wanted a place for my wife in our program, no matter what she did. And my wife always did a great job of buying into it. And look, my wife could give a crap less about football, but she was always there to support us. She was going to be involved in it.
Yep.
So she would, make cookies for the players on Monday and do all this stuff. She would show up to every game. She'd be in the end zone in a folding chair. Like, she was going to be there for it. So I really, really appreciate that. All right, Coach. So we're going to wrap it up. We don't want to take too much of your time. We really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Do you have any closing words for us?
No, I'll tell you real quick that story. Okay, so we're playing Miami Northwestern, and I got Travis Hinton we're up already a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Our little running back, greatest kid in the world, Travis Hinton, short dude, bowed up. We run speed option. I think he gets pushed out of bounds. This is it. Traz Powell, the legendary Traz, right?
Yeah.
And he jumps up. I see him. I'm on the 25 or whatever, and he's down there near we're going in. So he went out of bounds about the 6-yard line, and he comes running to the official and calls timeout. Now, I got a rule: nobody calls timeout, bro. Like, I call timeouts.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I meet him. I start walking down towards him, and I meet him on about the numbers, on about the 15 or whatever. I'm like, what are you doing? Are you hurt? What are you doing? No, coach. See, there's a dude over there, big dude. Look over my shoulder. He's like 6'4", man. He's got that Bulls Letterman's jacket on. I look, and there he is. I go, what about him? He goes, when I went out of bounds, he showed me a gun and said he's going to kill me if we score.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, what? And so I look over there, and sure enough, this dude opens his jacket, and he's gacked up, as we used to say. He's right there, and he goes like this to me. And I'm like, oh, snap. Okay. I say, listen, hey, Trav, you're going to go to the huddle right now, and you're not going to say nothing to nobody. And he is not going to shoot you, because we're going to give the ball to Trayon, and he's going to score. So that's a true story.
That's the most Miami Northwestern thing I've ever heard, by the way.
So they go in the huddle. Yeah. So next play, he's so scared, he's so nervous, he jumps offside. We get false starts. So now we get backed up. In the meantime, I've already told the police, there's a lot of police there. I told the police officer, they're hauling this guy out of there. There's no problem. But then we ran a little middle screen and we scored. Trayon did score, and Travis didn't have to worry about getting shot.
Did you ever have to tell Trayon after the game what happened?
Oh, yeah. I told him. He's like, Coach, why are you trying me, man? I'm like, no.
That's so good.
That was awesome.
Well,
that
Coach,
was a great story.
We appreciate you coming on the Board Drill podcast.
Appreciate you guys. It's an honor.
If you want to come on for a regular one, let us know, and we'll get you on.
Let me know. All right.
Yeah,
all right. We'll do it.
We'd love to have you on a full one. That'd be great.
That'd be great. All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a great one.